Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. It is time for our SEC football predictions. We saved the best for last. And we're kicking things off, guys, the only way we know how. With the best team within the best conference in the Georgia Bulldogs. For the first time since 1980, Georgia can finally call themselves national champions. The Bulldogs, guys, went 14-1, the lone loss to Alabama in the SEC championship game, but Kirby Smart and his team got their revenge in the game that mattered the most, the national title game, again, winning their first national championship since 1980. So now the question heading into 2022 is, can the Bulldogs defend their title? They absolutely can. You take a look at the numbers, guys, brought to you by College Football Encyclopedia. Georgia returns 59% of that national championship winning team from last year, 89th in the country. A team that was 26th nationally offensively and second nationally defensively. And we'll start on the offense first. I think a lot of times, guys, last year, the defense for Georgia was so good that it overshadowed the offense. Because the offense was not bad for Georgia last year. And now you look at them coming into 2022, they returned the veteran quarterback who led them to that title in Stetson Bennett. You've got Kendall Milton back at running back, obviously a loaded running back core, a loaded offensive line per usual, a loaded wide receiver core, and one of the best tight ends in the country in Brock Bowers. This Georgia offense is once again loaded, has the opportunity to be even better than they were last year. The defense, we might not be able to say the same. It is still going to be elite, still a top 10 unit in my opinion. Second in the nation last year, only behind Wisconsin, but they were first in the nation in scoring, allowing just 10.2 points per game. That's ridiculous. They held 8 of their opponents to a touchdown or less. That's unreal, guys. So yeah, while second in total defense, to me, this will go down as one of the best, if not the best defense we may have ever seen. But the Bulldogs lose 8 starters to the NFL. 8 starters on defense off to the NFL. So that's a lot of key pieces to replace, regardless of who you are. But they still have guys like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith anchoring this defense, guys, and they're going to need them and a handful of others to step up if they want to try to replicate last year's numbers. You take a look at the schedule, guys, it's pretty favorable for Georgia. Pretty favorable for them to get back to the college football playoff. Only a handful of key tests on this schedule, and the first one actually comes in week 1 where they take on Oregon in Atlanta. This is a marquee matchup. Big storyline for many reasons. Georgia facing off against what should be a top 15 opponent in Oregon. So first game after their national title winning seasons against a quality opponent. But also, Oregon's brand new head coach is Dan Lanning, who last year was the defensive coordinator for Georgia. So that historic defense we just finished talking about, the guy who anchored that defense, who led that defense on the sidelines, is now the head coach over at Oregon. So a great storyline there. This is going to be a very, very fun matchup in Atlanta, so right in Georgia's backyard. The question is, can Oregon's defense, now led by Lanning, who knows how Georgia operates, can Oregon's defense shut down this Georgia offense? And can Oregon's offense, who was mediocre at best last year, find some points, find some energy, and be able to exploit what's going to be another strong Georgia defense? Yes, the Ducks, of course, led now by former Auburn quarterback Bo Nix. Will he be able to have any, heroics against the Bulldogs, a team who he's familiar with after playing at Auburn? Bottom line is, I don't believe any of that's going to happen for Oregon. I believe Georgia simply across the board is too good. They'll exploit Oregon's defense. The Bulldogs' defense is still too good. The game will be close for the first half. And then Georgia will get a key turnover or a key stop early in the second. It'll shift the momentum. Georgia runs away with this game in the second half, 1-0. They're 2-0 with a win over Samford. And then they get their first SEC game at South Carolina. We'll chalk that up as a victory real quick. They beat South Carolina 40-13 last year. And while excitement is high in Columbia, Shane Beamer is bringing the swagger back to South Carolina in the Gamecocks program. 7-6 last year, great on the recruiting trail. Just landed Spencer Rattler. He's in at quarterback. The Gamecocks probably going to be a night game here. Get to host this game. They're just not there yet. Across the board, South Carolina just isn't there yet to take down the big dog like Georgia, even though they get to host. So Georgia will win this game. They're 3-0. They'll beat Kent State. They're 4-0, and now they enter the month of October, where, again, the schedule doesn't get much more difficult. A road game at Missouri, who they beat 43-6 last year. This is a Missouri team that's going to struggle mightily again in 2022. Might be even worse than they were last year. Last year going 6-7, might even fail to make a bowl game in 2022. So Georgia, we believe, will wipe the floor, really, with Missouri. 5-0. They get Auburn at home in Athens. Now, Auburn, typically a team in this rivalry matchup, guys, that could give Georgia some issues. Probably not this year. The Tigers are very deep and talented up front in the trenches. Problem is, Georgia is too. The Tigers having some quarterback questions right now, like we just mentioned. Bo Nix transferred out to Oregon, so who's going to be that quarterback for Auburn? Could it be Zach Calzada, the transfer from Texas A&M? Will it be TJ Finley, who had a significant amount of starting time last year in replacement of Bo Nix? No one really knows as of right now. Factor in the fact that Georgia, first off, is extremely talented at stopping the run, and that's what Auburn's going to want to do with the likes of Tank Bigsby and that running back staff and that running back core. Very good at stopping the run. And then factor in, too, Auburn's all their offseason drama they have with Brian Harsin. If the Tigers don't get off to a fast start, could Harsin have lost his job by October 8th? Could Auburn be done and checked out for the year, depending on how fast they start? So many factors go into this game, guys. But bottom line, again, Georgia owns home field advantage. They own the clear advantage on every aspect of this game. They beat Auburn 34-10 last year, and I'd expect a similar result in 2022. So they beat the Tigers and, of course, cruised past Vanderbilt, beat them 62-0, and it could be even worse now in Athens. So just like that, guys, Georgia is 7-0, still a top 3 team, maybe even the number 1 team in the country, who knows, but clearly on a path back to the playoff. They get their bye week before taking on Florida, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And again, typically, this would be the game or one of the games that would determine the SEC East, right? The last few years, exception of last year, it typically was. And a couple years ago, Florida finally got their win over Georgia, and the Gators won the SEC East. But this is not going to be the case this year. First off, Georgia will win this game. Go ahead and chalk it up with a victory. Last year, they beat the Gators 34-7. It was only 3-0 with under 3 minutes left in the first half. But then Florida imploded. Georgia's defense lit it up, and the Bulldogs scored 3 touchdowns in the final 2:16 to lead 24-0 at halftime. So 3-0 to 24-0 like that, and the game was over. Florida, guys, new head coach in Billy Napier. They have talent at quarterback in Anthony Richardson. The secondary is pretty solid, but they're going through a lot of changes where the Gators are not going to be what they used to be. Disappointing 2021, will improve a little bit now, but not enough to take down the Bulldogs, by no means, in Jacksonville. So they beat them. The month of November is where, honestly, it's the most difficult month for Georgia. If they're going to slip up somewhere, it's probably going to come here against Tennessee, Mississippi State, or Kentucky. 3 of their more difficult tests of the year. Problem is, guys, I'll tell you right now, I think Georgia wins all 3 of those games. I believe they beat Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. Tennessee will be one of their toughest tests, considering the Volunteers had one of the top offenses in the country, 7th nationally in scoring, 9th nationally overall. Tennessee actually scored the most points on Georgia in the regular season last year. They dropped 17 on the Bulldogs, and they still lost 41-17. Hendon Hooker and this offense will test this very young Georgia secondary. There's no doubt about that. But ultimately, Georgia's defense, especially with the game being at home, is going to be the difference maker in this one. Factor in, too, that Tennessee's defense is improving. Not that great. They're still improving. And Georgia's offense, very underrated. Stetson Bennett will be able to do enough to exploit the Volunteers in this one. Especially, again, the game in Athens, Georgia wins. They're going to face a similar test at Mississippi State, a team that, like Tennessee, wants to air it out. Definitely Mississippi State does with the air raid offense under Mike Leach. A game that, once again, will test Georgia's young secondary. So, again, that's going to be the kicker here. Factor in Mississippi State has a very solid run defense. So this could become a game, guys, where who wins the quarterback battle? Will it be Will Rogers or Stetson Bennett? If I'm picking a quarterback that I want to win the game, it's going to be Will Rogers. However, I'd have more faith in Georgia's defense as a whole and Georgia's coaching as a whole than I do for Mississippi State with Mike Leach's coaching and Mississippi State's defense. This game I actually think could be closer than some expect, but it is still one where Kirby Smart knows, hey, you rush 3, you drop 8. That's how you're going to stop the air raid, right? People have figured it out. And for one of the best defensive minds in all of college football, Kirby Smart is going to figure it out and be just fine. So the Bulldogs win that game over another Bulldogs team. They then take on Kentucky, a team they beat 30-13 last year. Kentucky getting that late touchdown at the end to get to 13. Some would say this could be the SEC East Championship, right? That the division could be determined right here, depending on how well Kentucky is doing by November 19th. The Wildcats, yes, they have the talent. They've got a great quarterback in Will Levis, a solid run game with Chris Rodriguez, always a strong defense, typically under Mark Stoops. This team could beat Georgia, but they're not. Because I do believe that Kentucky's secondary, again, would have to step up significantly in this game. I just don't think the Wildcats have the pieces in that secondary to win it and to shut down Stetson Bennett in this passing attack that I think is going to take a bigger step forward than they even did last year. So they beat Kentucky, and then no doubt beat Georgia Tech. They beat them 45-0 last year. Jeff Collins is going to get fired by season's end. The Yellow Jackets are going to be horrendous. One of the worst teams in the SEC or ACC. Georgia wins this game big, and boom, undefeated. Undefeated. And I know that was kind of a quick overview, guys, but again, the schedule's not bad. Tennessee, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and the season opener against Oregon, their toughest tests. And honestly, all of those, I say toughest tests, all of those are games that Georgia could easily win by double digits, if that tells you anything. Georgia, guys, will go undefeated once again in 2022. Regardless of what happens in the SEC championship game, whether they win it or lose it, the Bulldogs will be back in the college football playoff, which means they will have their shot to defend their national title. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure to sign up for those today. Again, the link down in the description below. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.